Some things never change, do they? Despite things appearing to have changed, at some point it becomes obvious that in fact they haven't. As sure as eggs are eggs, Trump is going to say something stupid sometime soon. And you can be sure that as eggs are eggs, Anton Deck will win the latest Woke Presenter Award. And you can be sure as eggs are eggs, politicians will lie. Some things just simply never change. So does it surprise anyone that HSBC have again been caught working for criminals and allowing them to launder millions of pounds / dollars? If you or I did this, we would be in jail. HSBC do it in a few quid fine and not even a smack on the wrist. Lest we forget that in 2012, HSBC were handed a record fine of $1.9 billion because they were caught laundering money for Mexico drug gangs. HSBC is being held accountable for stunning failures of oversight and worse, said Brewer. That led the bank to permit narcotics traffickers and others to launder hundreds of millions of dollars through HSBC subsidiaries and to facilitate hundreds of millions more in transactions with sanctioned countries. They literally had trucks arrive with piles of cash stacked high in them, and they had their own window to stuff that cash through into the bank to be laundered. How is that possible? You default on your mortgage for a couple of months and they take your house. They knowingly launder billions and billions of dollars for drug gangs and no one bats an eyelid. Well, surprise, surprise, they're at it again. Barclays and HSBC shares fall after reports of alleged suspicious transfers. Barclays fell by 4% in early trading in London and HSBC and Standard Chartered both lost 3%. Earlier in Hong Kong, HSBC dropped more than 4%, taking the shares to their lowest level since May 95. The drop came after thousands of documents detailing $2 trillion of potentially corrupt transactions were washed through the US financial system, were leaked to an international group of investigative journalists. Now there's a dying breed, investigative journalist. So now it's not only HSBC, other banks are also being accused of helping criminals to launder $2 trillion. The same banks that destroyed the economy in 2008. Don't forget, you don't pay a credit card or mortgage and see what happens to you from these very same scumbag criminal banks. I'll keep an eye on this story to see if any charges are brought against anyone. There won't be. The bankers are so arrogant and sadly they're above reproach because they make sure they buy off politicians not to do anything about it. They buy the politicians off so they introduce laws which won't affect them. Nothing has changed since HSBC were fined $1.9 billion in 2012, and nothing will change now. You see, we elect governments and the mainstream media are there to give us the perception that governments run countries, but they really don't. There's a level of unelected, unseen bureaucracy above governments that allow them to do what the hell they like, including drug and human trafficking. You name it, they get away with it. If you think Johnson runs anything, honestly,